In chapter 6, verse 1, we read that the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. So Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried out to the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet to the children of Israel who said to them, "Thus says the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you out of the house of bondage, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all those who oppressed you, and I drove them out before you, and I gave you their land. Also I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not fear the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice." So in other words, God sends them a prophet to say to them that they had been disobedient. They found themselves in want, they found themselves hurting, they found themselves in need, and they cried out to God. And God said, listen, what is happening to you is the direct result of your sinfulness. You know, that's not something that people really want to hear, is it? That's not the kind of message that they want to receive. Sometimes it's a hard message that we need to hear. In verse 11, though, we read that the angel of the Lord came and sat under the terebinth tree, which was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gideon threshed wheat in the winepress in order to hide it from the Midianites. Now, that tells you right there just how bad things had gotten, right? Do you know the process of threshing wheat? When you harvested the wheat, you would have to break the wheat from the kernel, from the kernel that contained it, so that the wheat could then be ground into flour and meal for bread, right? Well, once you cracked it, once it was broken open, you had to separate the kernels of wheat from the skins and the husks that the wheat had grown in, and that part that was left over was called the chaff. And you had to separate the wheat from the chaff. And the way that you would do it is you would have these big baskets, and you would throw the wheat into the air along with the chaff. But the chaff, being lighter than the wheat, would be blown away in the breeze, and the wheat would fall down again, and you would repeat this process until it was thoroughly separated. Well, you want to do that type of activity in a place where there is good airflow, where there is good wind. So really, up on the top of a hill would be a much better place. A wine press would be a depression in the ground, a cistern, if you will. So he is threshing wheat in exactly the wrong place to be doing it, right? And this is evidence of the fact that things were really bad, that he was trying so hard to hide this food from the Midianites so that they wouldn't take it, that he was actually doing this work in a wine press. He was threshing wheat in the wine press, verse 11 says, in order to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor." Huh? The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor? Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press. What about that behavior paints him as a mighty man of valor? Nothing. Someone who is a mighty man is someone who has great strength. Someone who has valor is someone who is brave and is capable of great deeds. Gideon was anything but a mighty man of valor, certainly based on the description we have here. And yet God does not see as we see. And sometimes the Lord calls us to be what he sees us as, rather than to continue as we see ourselves.